All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Increase. This is the first class of February. I'm Blake J. Anderson, and tonight we are going to be talking about how to manage energy productivity. So I hope that you were joining us last week, or you watched the replay of last week's class, and it was manage energy for increase. And so that was really part one. This week's really going to be part two about managing increase. So if you're new to the class, this class is about taking spiritual principles and applying them to get the natural results that the Bible promises. You know, increase our spiritual principles, but they have natural consequences and natural results, and they're laws. They're things that work for everybody as you learn to apply them. And so up until this point, we've been kind of have a trajectory on focus and our attention and how to manage ourselves. And we are beginning the curve to step into leadership. But if you've ever had a position of leadership, or you've ever studied leadership, you know that leadership starts in the mirror. Leadership starts with you. To be a strong leader who can be entrusted to lead other followers, you've got to be able to lead yourself. And so we are working really hard about how to really lead ourselves well, so that we can lead others well. And as we lead others well, as we marshal other energy and other people to the projects that we're working on, we're going to have the possibility of doing bigger things and seeing increase like we could have never seen by ourselves, because all big projects are done on a team. No one has ever done anything truly very big all by themselves. So to start this class, let's do just a quick recap of last week. Last week was manage energy for increase. And so we talked last week about three main things. We talked about how to manage our internal energy, how we feel about things, and our body's energy, the physical side of energy. Tonight, we're going to talk about the mental side of energy, but the physical side of energy starts with your diet, and understanding that your diet is going to affect your body, and your body is going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your decisions. So changing the energy in your body through your diet will change your results. When you have a good, clean, whole foods diet, then you will think clear. You will have stable energy, and joy and possibilities will seem so much more possible. So the quick thing to understand is a high energy diet is one that doesn't have much sugar. It's one that has high content fruits and vegetables, and it is a diet that, tying in point number two, is in line with your circadian rhythm. It's a diet that gives your body proper time to digest, proper time to eat, and proper time to digest. So the second principle we talked about was rhythm. That's your circadian rhythm. And that word circadian is circa, near, and dian, day, a full day rhythm. And that rhythm revolves around the sun. Without that sun, that big ball of light in the sky, we would not live. And to have proper circadian rhythm, you've got to understand that your body was created to revolve around that sun. And God has perfectly made your body to use what the sun gives. And that sun gives frequency, it gives light that triggers so many things in your body, and your diet and when you eat and when you rest play into that. So you need to manage your daily rhythm for higher amounts of energy to get greater amounts of increase. And the third thing we talked about, and I hope you'll watch the class, was your routine. Understanding to really make the most of this circadian rhythm, to really maximize our energy. Then we need to start our days in the right way, and we need to end our days in the right way. And so we talked about the most important thing is your morning routine, but the morning routine starts the night before. So I'm not going to get into all of it, but you should watch the class. The book that we kind of really dug into, the concepts laid out in that book, was called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Excellent book. If you know that you need to start doing more in the morning, if you desire to do the day on your terms, then you got to start getting up earlier. And there's some certain things that you can start doing at the beginning of your day that just naturally set you up for success. And here's the thing, what they really do is they get you in the mood for increase. They get your attitude right for more, because more is not going to come to you when you're depressed and you're thinking about your lack. More comes when you are excited, when you're joyful, when you're relaxed, and you're allowing the more to come to you. So that's a recap of last week. And that was written really about our physical energy. But this week, manage energy for productivity. We're going to really talk about how we manage our mental energy and how we can manage it to get more out of our day. So some of the things that we're going to talk about, you may have heard before, but I want you to listen really close. This stuff that we're going to get into tonight is the secret sauce of productivity. It's not going to be collectively exhaustive. Okay. We'd have to go on for another couple of years to really get to all of it that are in some great books that I've read, but there's some real secrets in here to get more out of your day. And there's some things that I've picked up over the years that have turned me into a really effective operator, have turned me into someone that knows how to get things done. And if you're looking for increase in your life, then you understand you've got to be known in your community as someone who knows how to get things done. Here's the unfortunate truth. Our workforce right now is in a really sad state of despair. And there's a lot of people out there that really don't know how to get much done. And if we're honest, we don't really trust a lot of the people to get things done. Here's the good news on the other side of that coin. It's never been so easy to distinguish yourself in the marketplace. Let me say that again. Today, in 2023, it has never been easier to distinguish yourself in the marketplace, to distinguish yourself at your company. So I've been spending quite a bit of time dialoguing with some people, mainly on TikTok, about work habits. And a couple of topics that I really talk about in threads that I'm in are no 2-week notice and quiet quitting. And there's a lot of folks who are really disenfranchised by the work environment. And so they think that the right strategy for them is just to give the very least a very little, because they don't believe that their companies value them. And I think that's just a recipe for disaster. I don't think they've thought far enough down their path. And I don't think they understand the law of compensation. And the law of compensation states that the amount of value you get from the marketplace is in direct proportion to the amount of value that you put in to the marketplace. The Bible calls this sowing and reaping. And if you quiet quit, then you are throttling back the amount of value you're putting into the marketplace, and therefore the marketplace will not have much value to give you back. So like I said, it's never been easier to distinguish yourself in the marketplace. And the things that I'm going to talk about today, some hacks, some tips and tricks that I'm going to get in today will start to make a difference. It will start to show you how to start raising your head above your competition. You will start to position yourself for that promotion. You will start to be known in your community as someone who knows how to get things done. And don't we all know who's going to increase? The person who puts in the least and maybe entertains people with jokes, but it really isn't trusted, or the person who can get it done? We know the answer. So let's dive right in. We're talking about mental energy. So first, let's just identify this. This is what I didn't understand early on in my journey, in my early 20s, my mid 20s, when I was getting into the marketplace. I just thought you just got out there and you worked hard. I didn't understand all the tips, all the technique behind productivity, behind increase. I didn't understand how there were certain people that seemed to always get ahead and get more done. I just didn't understand. And I picked these things up along the way, and I want to get into it. And the first thing that you've got to really understand is there are different types of energy. Just because you are awake doesn't mean you have the right mental energy to do all the things that you're responsible to do. Let me stop right there. Think about that. Just because you're awake, just because you're on the clock, just because you checked in, doesn't mean that you have the energy that you need to do everything that you're responsible for. So you've got to admit that, number one. So here's a few types of energy that you find every day you find yourself with. Low energy. I think we've all felt that. If you have a job that you're burnt out on, you don't like, you likely feel that a lot. You might feel that right after lunch or the mid-afternoon lull, or if you don't do a morning routine, you might experience low energy as it takes you a long time to wake up. There's also kind of alert but mindless energy, kind of energy that you can do menial mindless tasks on, but maybe not the kind of energy we're able to give real focus to anything. Then we have working and focused energy. There's energy that you can really start working on projects, start getting things moving forward. You could start knocking things out off of your to-do list. It's kind of that working focused energy. I would say probably a good portion from mid-morning to early afternoon is that good working focused energy where you can really kind of do a lot of different things. But then there's the secret energy, and that's creative energy. And this is what I didn't really understand. Creative energy is really special, and it's really fragile. And I want you to think about now what that really means. If you've ever tried to work on a really important project that took inspiration, that took clarity of thought, when you felt like time stood still, where you felt like you were in the flow of the moment, that life was effortless and all the right answers just seemed to be rolling right out of you without even thinking about it. That's creative energy. That's what some people would call flow state. And that is super fragile. And you're only going to experience about an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours a day of creative energy. And once it's gone, you likely may not get it back. And so it must be valued and it must be protected, because here's what you can do in creative energy. An hour and a half of creative energy, I can typically get done what takes me 6 to 8 hours to do. There's a law called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law states that work expands to fill the amount of time that's given to it. Work expands to fill the amount of time given it. So oftentimes what we think is an 8-hour task that's just an arbitrary number. A task will take the amount of time you give it, and it will be based on the amount of energy that you give it. And this is really speaks to procrastination. Have you ever noticed that if you have 2 weeks to do something and you don't start working on it till the very end, that you find a way to get it done, even though you thought it would take you 2 weeks, but if you're honest, it really only took you a couple hours at the end? It's because Parkinson's Law says that work will just expand, expand, expand. As long as you give it more time, this project will just take forever. But here's the flip side of Parkinson's Law. When you understand energy, you understand that I can flip that. And when I have the right energy, I can take a project, I can take a task that should take me 8 hours, and with the right energy applied to it and schedule that task at the right time of day, I can get it done in an hour and a half. I can get it done in 2 hours because I shrunk the amount of time that I gave it. I only gave it that amount of time. And guess what? If you have the right energy, you will find a way to get it done. And so that's really starting to tap into some of these secrets about productivity that when you understand, you can start scheduling things at the right time, and you can start getting more done faster. You can start having people around you thinking that you must be working more hours than you are, or thinking that you've hired someone to help you with your stuff. All right, so there's different types of energy. Low energy, kind of a mindless energy. There's that working energy where you can get some level of focus, and then there's creative energy. All right. And we'll get in a little bit later on when you should expect that type of energy and what to do with it. But we need to recognize those feelings we have. All right. What you need to understand, once you understand your energy, you have to start thinking about the things that you're responsible for. What of those things gives me energy? What of the things I'm responsible for takes energy from me? What gives me energy and what takes energy from me? And this is so important when you schedule tasks to know what type of energy you need from to give it. It's also a really great way to understand if maybe there's some things on your plate that aren't yours to do. So we have to know, what is it? It gives me energy. That really starts to speak to our gifts, our callings, our talents, those unique superpowers that God gave you. Most people look right past their gift and assume that everybody's just like me and they see the world like me. No, that's not true. Every single person on this planet has been given unique gifts that only they have, and they see the world in only way that they can. But they have the abilities oftentimes that very few other people have. And when you are able to identify what your superpower is, what your gift is, you'll likely find that whenever you can use your gift, it gives you energy to do it. And you're able to almost tap right back into flow state or creative energy just by using of your gift. And when you can use your superpower, then you can complete things in so much less time than someone that doesn't have that gifting. So you've got to know about yourself. What is it that I do that actually gives me energy, that I enjoy doing, that I get excited to do, that I like doing? What's my favorite part about my job or my day? And second, what is it that I do that takes energy away from me? And we find creative ways to maybe have those tasks go somewhere else. See, if you're working on a team, oftentimes you can identify the things that take energy from you and might find a team member that likes to do those things. We're going to get into those at the end of the class. We're going to get into the hacks, the tips, the techniques. So what gives you energy and what takes it away? All right. So here's the main concept, the main tool that I want to give you tonight. And that tool is called calendar blocking. Calendar blocking. We're going to write that down. All right. Now, I was taught this by a mentor of mine early in my entrepreneurial career named Bill Davis. He was a business consultant with Team Nimbus. Shout out to Bill. Awesome teacher. Taught me so much at the right time in my life. And one thing that revolutionized my early business was understanding calendar blocking. And calendar blocking is when you take everything that you're responsible for and you block it out off your calendar. So you would print off a week. You could create a spreadsheet, but you want to have every day of the week and across the top and all the hours of the day down the side from when you get up to when you go to sleep. And you start to map out your whole week. Now, some of your week is going to be mapped out for you. Bible study Thursday night at 7, increased class Wednesday night at 7, church Sunday at 10, taking kids to school 8:15 every morning. There's staff meeting Tuesdays at 8:30. There's things that are automatically be on your calendar, but we also have lots of time on our calendar to move some things around. So you have your calendar all written out. You first block out the things that can't move, the things are out of your control. Then you want to list you want to make a separate list of all the things that you're responsible for in your job or the projects that you're on. And we're going to break those into 3 categories. So we have our big rocks, our pebbles, and our sand. And so your big rocks are the most important things that you do, the things that mean the most to your income, the things that move the needle most in your life. And these are also going to be the creative things that you're trying to do. Okay. Then you have your pebbles, and your pebbles might be a weekly phone call with your manager or with a direct report. It might be proposals that you have to write. It might be reports that you have to send to your boss or send to a client. These are relatively important things, but they take, 20 minutes to do. Big rocks are things that you need to block off probably like an hour and a half's of time for. And pebbles are things that, they take maybe 20 minutes and they're relatively important. And so they should be scheduled there. And then here's your sand. And the sand are the things in your day-to-day that can really be done anywhere at any time. And these are things like emails, returning calls, answering, checking voicemail, responding to texts, filing papers away, digital filing. These are the little tasks that you can do in 30 seconds. You can do in 2 minutes. These are the things that you can kind of fit in between appointments, in between meetings. And so you have your calendar, and the first thing you've done is you've put on all those big meetings that can't be moved, the things that you have to go to. The next thing you do in your calendar is you take your list of big rocks. These are creative things. These are the linchpins. These are the things that are really important to your success. And right here we have a jar. And so we're going to fill our calendar like the way we would fill a jar if we had rocks, pebbles, and sand. And if I was going to fill this jar, then I would want to start with my big rocks, because if I loaded this whole thing down with sand, I may not have room at the end for my rocks, the most important things. Or if I do a whole lot of pebbles and maybe one rock and then a bunch of sand, then some of the most important things might not make it. Some of you have creative projects, you have goals that you've been putting off for months, maybe even for years, that are big rocks in your life, that are important to your identity, that are important to the vision that you have for yourself, because you haven't taken the time to put them in your jar first. Because the important things have to go in first. So I'm going to load my jar with my big rocks, right? So I got a big rock here. Another one kind of fits here. I got one like this and one around like that. Okay, so I got my big rocks in there first. So that I mapped those on my calendar. After that, I'm going to fill in my pebbles, because the pebbles will start to sort around the big rocks. So this is my buffer. This is my some phone calls that I have with the people that work with me. This is maybe writing some proposals. So I'm putting my pebbles in here. And these are all a bunch of little 20-minute things that are really important, and they need to get done. But, they can happen about any time of the day. And then finally, I'm going to see what's left. And what's left is where I'm going to pour in my sand. And my sand is the time that I need in my day to answer emails, to respond to texts, to do some filing. All right. Now, here's the trick. Hopefully, you're already seeing where I'm going with this. When I do this, and I start to put these rocks on the schedule, and I start to put the pebbles on the schedule, and I start to fill the sand in with my responsibilities, I've got to do it based on my energy. I've got to understand my energy, and I've got to put these things in the right place in the day, in the right place in the week, to maximize the correct energy needed to be the most productive with these things. So what do we talk about? We have low energy, we have mindless kind of energy, you just kind of doing tasks. Then you have your working energy, and then you have your creative energy. We talked about that creative energy is fragile and it's fleeting, but it's so important, because it's the time that you can get so much done, and it's the time that you can advance those certain things. And there are certain creative projects you're trying to do in life. If we're honest, there's only about 1 or 2 places a day that it would even be worth trying to do it. So if you're like me, I naturally have a lull in my afternoon. I eat lunch around 1 o'clock, and probably around 2:30, I start to feel, maybe 2 o'clock, I start to feel my energy go down a little bit. I've talked about this in other classes, and my energy will go down until about 4:30. Now, when I'm eating clean and I'm eating healthy, my energy is relatively stable. So it dips a little bit, but not a lot. When I'm on that sugar diet, my diet is really wrong, like I talked about last week, I see some dramatic drops in my energy and I feel depressed and I have despair. And that is a time that I should never try to do anything creative. And I should never make important decisions for my life because I don't have the right energy and I wouldn't have the right mindset to do a good job with it. So if you haven't figured this out yet, your creative energy is going to be right at the beginning of your day. So for me, it's between about 8:30 and 10 o'clock. I have about a magical hour and a half where I can do incredible things, where I actually have the clarity of thought, the inspiration, and the vitality in my body to do special stuff that as I move past my attention span later in the day, I still might be able to work and do some focused work and do some good things, but I don't have that special energy. So for me, I've got to put my creative projects at the beginning of my day. Now, I heard some great advice by Jack Canfield. He wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. He also wrote this great book called The Success Principles. And Jack, he spends the first hour and a half of his day, he doesn't check his phone, he doesn't check email, he doesn't respond to anything. He's a writer, so he writes. The first hour and a half of the day is when he does his writing. And when he's done with that, then he checks his email, then he checks his voicemail, then he responds to texts. But he makes sure that he maps it based on his energy because he knows that creative energy is where he makes all his money. Those books is where he makes his money. And so he has to prioritize and fight for that time. So you got to put that creative stuff, those big rocks, when you have the energy for it. Pebbles, you might find that you can do that in a lot of parts of the day. I know for me, I wouldn't do any pebble work between 2:30 and 4. I know for me, if I don't need to take a nap or go for a walk, I have low energy and maybe some mindless energy. And so I plan part of my afternoon that I'm just filing things away. I'm just sorting some things in my email. I'm doing things that I don't have to really engage much. I'm almost like working in a kind of working meditative state. But I plan my day that way. I plan my day to maximize my energy. And what you'll find is that oftentimes you'll get a second wind about 4:30. Now, some of you might find it even late in the evening. Sometimes in your second wind, you can catch a little bit of whiff of creativity, and that's a great time to bring in a creative project. But most of the time, a second wind will absolutely give you some good focused energy. It may not be the most prolific, inspired creative energy, but it's energy that you can really start pushing some projects forward, that you can knock some things out. Some people wake up in the middle of the night and do that. I don't recommend that. I think sleep is way too important. I think your circadian rhythm is way too important for your creative energy to ever give it up to go to work in the middle of the night. But it works for some people. So that's calendar blocking. When you begin to do this, you'll get more done in a day than you thought was possible because you'll do the right thing at the right time. When you do the right thing at the right time, it takes less time to accomplish those. So hopefully you have some flexibility in your work. Maybe you have a work from home situation that you have some flexibility on when you can schedule your day, or you've been given some autonomy on how you can schedule your day. And I really want to encourage you to start thinking about your energy. Think about what gives you energy. Think about what takes it away. Think about when you have those 4 forms of energy so that you can start scheduling your calendar. And then the hardest part after that is going to be you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to keep that phone on silent. You're going to have to keep yourself from checking your TikTok feed. You're going to have to keep yourself from checking email. You may just have to let the phone go to voicemail and let them know that you were doing something really important. Because if you can do that, this will make all the difference. All right, I told you at the beginning of the class, I was going to give you some hacks. I was going to give you some tips. So you have this big tool here, but besides this, here's a few things I've learned along the way that have made some massive differences. These are small things that are really big levers for your productivity. All right, I already gave you the first thing, which is that creative energy comes at the beginning of the day, okay? You may not experience it if you're getting up just in time to get to work, but if you can start implementing your morning routine and you start your day on your terms, for me, I start at 5. I do some prayer and meditation. I work out. I do some reading, some journaling. Then I get the family up and we do, breakfast and morning routine together. I see them out at 8:15. I'm doing a little email, little catch up, little day prep in the middle of that. And then by 8:30, I'm trying to cruise right into creativity because now I'm operating on all cylinders, right? I'm wide awake and the juices have been flowing and I've already started to have some inspiring thoughts. And now I've got some things to work with. I've got some spiritual resources that I can start creating natural results with. I can start manifesting that spiritual energy into real things in that creative window. So it's the first part of your day. And so the other side of that coin, as I said earlier, is don't try to do creative things when you have low energy. Respect yourself enough to do this because you likely will not put out your best work and you likely will start feeling deflated and dejected about the things that mean most to you. Okay, that's tip number one. Tip number two, what do you do with the things that suck your energy? All right, here's a couple tips that have made a huge difference. There's plenty of things that we're all responsible for, undoubtedly, that you don't love and they suck your energy, but you're still responsible for them. So what do you do? Well, there's two important things. One, if you can delegate, you need to delegate. Now, that is not selfish, okay? I want to tell you this. Delegating something that sucks your energy is not selfish. It's wisdom. The best gift you could give your company is to stop doing the things that take your energy, because when they take your energy, they will take more time than it would take anyone else. And when it takes up time to do things that sucks your energy, then guess what it's taking time from? It's taking time from the time that you could be using your gift. It's taking away the time that you could be using your superpower. It's taking away the time, the attention, the energy that you could be moving your company forward. You owe it to your boss. You owe it to your company to try to move more and more into your strengths and your gifts. And so you need to find ways to delegate. And if you're on a team, then do it this way. Delegate things to people who have that gift for that. And look at what's sucking their energy and maybe do a trade. Hey, I'll tell you what. You're really great at finding numbers. I'll let you if you'll do the reconciliation on the back end of the project, I'll do the planning on the front end of the project. You'll find that people on a team bring together all different skill sets, and you want to utilize them the best by allowing everyone to move further into their gift. And so do yourself a favor by taking something off their plate that you're strong at and allow them to take something off of you. I've got a team member, Julie Mizia. She is such an awesome team member. She's got a gift, man. She's got a superpower when it comes to organization, when it comes to putting things where they belong, when it comes to finding numbers. And I'm pretty organized, but like finding needles in a haystack detail it sucks my energy. Okay, I'll dig in, I'll do my part when I have to, but it sucks my energy. But that's where she shines. That's where her strength is. And so what I've learned to do working with her is I give her those things. And in exchange, I start asking her what I can take off her plate that allows my gift to flourish and then gives her more time to do the things that aren't good for me. So first thing is to delegate. And don't be afraid to talk to your boss about it. But you got to talk about it in the right thing. Don't come entitled, say, well, I just can't do this. I'm no good at this. Don't downgrade yourself and don't demean the opportunity. Just let them know, hey, I'm really strong at this. This is where my gift comes alive. And I've noticed that this thing takes me a long time and I'm committed to getting better at it. But I know based on how I'm wired and my gifts, I don't think I'm ever going to be a superstar. Is there any way we can kind of work responsibilities around? I'd love to take more of this on my plate. So delegates one. Here's the second part of this. When you have things that suck your energy, this is something I found in the last couple of years. It's made a big difference if you work on a team. So whether your team is your spouse at home, whether your team is at work or you're volunteering at church, when you have something that you're responsible for that sucks your energy and you can't delegate it, do it as a team. Find someone who will do it with you. Find someone who will do it with you. The whole dynamic changes when you're no longer working by yourself. So where I work, we're in the real estate development business, and we use some project management software. We have lots of projects going on, and we use the schedule function and lots of other things about the software that it can do amazing things, but we have to build it out to do what we want it to do. And it's super powerful, but it's only powerful to the point that you program the software to do the things that you need it to do for you. And so over the last couple of years of building out this software and then also using it and implementing in our current projects, there's a lot of tedious, not untying and reworking to do in this software to get it to do what we want. And now we know if we'll do this, it makes all the difference, but it is a soup pain to do this effort. And so we've realized it is something that we'll put off, because if you don't do something, you'll likely just continue to push it off. And so what our team has learned to do is we help each other. We work together on those things. We schedule calls just to work on that. So if a guy on my team, I know he's responsible for something and it somewhat impacts me, and I know it's a pain for him to do, I'll just volunteer. Hey, I'll tell you what, let's work together on this. I know it's your responsibility, not mine, but it makes a big difference in my job and what I've got to do. So tomorrow, let's block out an hour, let's block out 2 hours, and let's do it together. I did this today. We thought we were going to spend an hour. We spent 2.5 hours working on this. And the amount of stuff we got done as a team was incredible, because I wasn't working by myself. And because I brought someone else's gift and skill set to work with me on it. And he lightened my load and I lightened his load. And we agreed, you know what? This was so meaningful. Every time that we have to plan these projects in this way, we're going to do this step of the planning together, because we'll get more done faster and we're going to get a better result. So hack number one, creative energy at the beginning of the day. Hack number two is when things suck your energy, you want to either delegate it or work together on as a team, partner up. Okay. Here's hack number three. And this has made a huge difference in my life. And you may not be wired like me, but I'm a people person. Okay. I'm an introvert, but I'm also a people person. Here's what I've learned about myself over the years. I get excited to see people. I get excited to see people. And so one thing that I can actually do when I have low energy, one thing that I can schedule on my calendar when I have low energy, is meeting with friends, meeting with clients, meeting with new people, because there's something that happens inside of me. When I get around someone new, I get vitality, I get life, I pull energy out of you. I get excited about where conversations can go. And so I've learned that one thing I can do in that lull of the day is I can schedule meetings, because I'll find energy, because meeting with people is life-giving to me. Now, some creative things life-giving and you can do it then, but I'm not so much talking about the creative things, but the life-giving things is where you come alive, the things you get excited about. Oftentimes it allows you to use your gifts. Certain environments excite you. And if there's environments that excite you, you can push through low energy and come out of low energy and pull the energy out of the environment. So earlier in my career, I had to do quite a bit of selling. And part of selling was I had to network in the community. I had to meet people that could send me business. And I learned that was so important that I need to schedule it in. But I had some other big rocks that I had to protect that creative time. And but I still needed to meet with these people. And so I learned I could actually schedule meetings during my low energy time, because I'd pull energy out of the moment. And so I was able, the days that the energy that I normally should go take a nap on, I was able to do something super productive, because I could do it with other people and get excited. So that's the other hack, is that people will often bring energy to the table, and you can schedule things in your low energy time that where you're able to get excited and pull the energy out of the environment. So I hope these small hacks, I hope you'll write them down. And I hope you start thinking about how you can implement them, because these are the secrets that the super productive people use to be more productive, to get more done. These are how the people move up their ladders very quickly. These are how leaders begin to reveal themselves, begin to move out above their competition, because they've proven themselves to be more productive than anyone else. They've proven themselves to be able to handle a lot. You know, there's an old adage that says, if you need something done, give it to a busy person. Give it to someone who's busy, who stays busy. Their calendar gets filled. See, if you're a productive, busy person, expect that you're going to have a full calendar. Expect there's going to be demands on your time. Expect that there's going to be people who want your help, because it won't take long to be known as someone who can get things done. Take it as an honor. Trust me, use Parkinson's law to your example. Don't say no, say yes. Because once you learn these hacks, once you learn how to block your calendar right, once you learn how to manage your energy for productivity, you'll find time you didn't know existed. You'll be able to continue to put more value into the marketplace. You'll put more value out every day than your competition will. And I hope that some of these haters on TikTok are watching this video right now, because this is exactly the techniques they need to start getting ahead. So I really hope this helps. So I really hope that everybody will join me next week. We're going to continue to dig into our principles of increase. And I think that where we're going to go next is we're going to do something a little bit more conceptual, and we're going to talk about the path. We're going to talk about the path as our path starts to turn us into leadership, that you would understand how your steps ahead of you, if you started to do any of these things, and hopefully you're starting to see results, or hopefully you're starting to feel empowered on the inside, which means your steps are going to start being made. They're going to start being ordered. The path is going to start revealing itself in front of you. And I want you to be empowered to know what it looks like. I want you to know what to expect. So we're going to talk about the path next week. So YouTube,